I'm shooting this video on my bed because sometimes I don't feel like leaving it.
Cassidy Quinn.
Hey guys, it's me, Cassidy Quinn. Happy World Mental Health Day! Or if you're not watching this video on the day I'm posting it here, Happy World Mental Health Day. Any day can really be World Mental Health Day because everywhere in the world, on every single day, you should be focusing on your mental health in some way. Your mental health always exists on every day, so really every day is kind of World Mental Health Day. I'm rambling and procrastinating. Honestly, the procrastination is very fitting because this is a video I have been procrastinating for a very long time. I've wanted to make a video about my own mental health journey for over a year now because it was about 15 months ago, last July, right around my 29th birthday, when I started to figure it out, if you can even call it that. Do we ever figure it out? No, not really. It is stupid that I have been waiting so long to make this video because it's not a big deal. It's just not. But for some reason, I put this big pressure on myself to make this video mean a lot and make the things I'm saying in it mean a lot and be a big deal. But the only thing that got me to start figuring out what was going on with my own brain was to watch videos of other people talking about their own brains and their own mental health and talking to people in my actual life out in the world who have been going through similar things. So basically, let's cut to a year and a half ago-ish when I was just crying a lot. It's weird to think about now because I can't even put myself back in that space, but I'm trying to imagine. Honestly, I wish I was vlogging the entire time because we would have a lot of really sad, depressing clips of me crying to you guys, to myself, but I just didn't feel like vlogging at all. So I got to a point in my life where I was crying a lot. Little tiny things would upset me so much. Like if one tiny little thing went wrong in my day, I would cry a lot. I might cry in the morning, I might cry in the middle of the day on my lunch break, I might cry myself to sleep. That sounds so sad, but it was a thing. I couldn't fall asleep in general. I had a lot of trouble with that because my brain was just racing all over the place and couldn't stop. Just in general, I didn't feel like myself. I felt like I didn't have the energy that I normally have. I felt like I didn't have the excited attitude about life that I normally had. I felt angry. I would get mad at people and things for basically no reason, and things that would annoy me for a much longer time, and just, I couldn't think about anything else. I also wasn't feeling very creative like myself normally. I couldn't focus on thoughts and projects and be able to form creative ideas, and didn't even want to. Like I didn't want to make videos. I didn't want to interview people. I just didn't wanna. Then obviously, if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you probably know that I like to go do fun things. I like to hang out with people, I like to talk to people, I like to go to concerts and events and all kinds of cool things. But so many of those things just started to turn into things that totally overwhelmed me. Like even the Big Float, this really fun event where thousands of people bring out an inflatable floaty thing and float down the Willamette River all day. And it was the weekend before my birthday, so I made it this big thing. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna go do this big float. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a great time. I'd been looking forward to it for months, and all of a sudden that morning, it just seemed like the most impossible thing in the world. I didn't know how we were gonna get there, where we were gonna park, how we were gonna inflate our inner tubes, if we inflate them before or after we get there, so how do we fit them in the car? Should we take a lift so that we don't have to find parking? What do we bring? Oh my gosh, ah! These are all things that you just have to plan, or even you don't plan, you just show up and you figure it out as it's happening, but it was making me crazy. I remember at one point, before I left the house, I had gotten everything ready, I had put my bathing suit on, I had a hat on, I had packed my sunscreen and my flamingo floaty, and then all of a sudden I just needed to go lay in bed and cry. And this had kind of been happening for a while. I can't exactly pinpoint when it started, and honestly I think throughout my life this has happened a lot. Like parents, if you're watching this, remember when I was in high school and I would freak out about my tests that were happening the next day at school so badly that sometimes my parents would let me just stay home for the day and take the test another day because they knew that it just meant a lot to me, that I was so stressed out and freaked out about it, and that it wasn't that I hadn't studied or hadn't tried to learn all the material. I just couldn't do it. Wow, I'm like breathing so deep. My heart is beating so fast just thinking about all of these things again. Even last year, I remember going to a concert at a pretty big venue in Portland, and I've always loved going to big concerts, and it's never really freaked me out that much. And then all of a sudden, I just felt super claustrophobic, and I had to run out to go to the bathroom and cry again for a few minutes because it was just very overwhelming, and anyone that came up and talked to me was making me super anxious and overwhelmed, and I didn't know what to do, and I just had to get out of there. So, a few days after this big float incident, which I did end up going to the big float, I made it, we had fun, we made content out of it, I was okay. A few days after that was my actual birthday, and sometimes your birthday, however old you're turning, just makes you kind of internalize and think about, take stock of your life and where you are and what you're doing and how you're doing, and maybe there's some like next year of your life resolutions you should make, some things you should be doing differently. And also in the weeks leading up to this, I've been doing a lot of Googling of what anxiety is and how you figure out if you have anxiety or what anxiety feels like, what a panic attack feels like. And yeah, things started checking off boxes and making a lot of sense. It was the day of my birthday, I'm pretty sure, or maybe the day after, cause you know, try to celebrate on the actual day. I decided to look up doctors in Portland and give them a call and say, hey, how would I go about getting some medication for anxiety? And they were like, well, you have to come in here and you have to take this little questionnaire and we'll talk about it and we'll see what we can do. So I get to the doctor and they have me fill out this questionnaire, which was asking things, basically just a sliding scale from, nope, that is not me at all, I never do that, to, oh my goodness, I am 100% that person. And I can't remember the exact questions on this form, but they would be things like, I feel sad throughout the day. I feel a lack of purpose in my life. Sometimes I am so overwhelmed I can't do anything. You know, lovely, happy, wonderful things like that. And that I just filled out in the waiting room, so then I go in and meet the actual doctor, and she looks over this, you know, punches some things to the computer, and she says, I have generalized anxiety disorder and depression. And I think for some reason up until that moment I had just been thinking it was all anxiety and not depression, and I don't really know why, but depression seemed a lot more serious and like a big thing, like, oh, I'm not one of those people with depression, I have anxiety. Nope, got both. I just thought depression would be literally me not being able to leave my house or do anything, so since I was still continuing to mostly function as an adult, then I didn't think that was me. The doctor kept asking me about different things in my life and the people I have around me in my life and the things I do in my life and how I feel, and I just kept crying. I think I cried at least 6 times just in the doctor's office. So I don't know if she needed that form to tell her I was depressed, or she probably could have figured it out herself. She's a smart doctor. But the doctor said I have something called dysthymia, which I'd never heard of before. But according to the internet, it is a mild but long-term form of depression. So basically the doctor's like, you have depression, and that's never gonna change. Wait, so the doctor prescribed me with some meds. She prescribed me Lexapro, or the generic brand of Lexapro, because I'm not about to pay full price if I do not need to for the exact same medicine. I don't understand. I don't get it. And she said, okay, start with a lower dose, and then after a week, increase it to a higher dose, and you're just gonna feel weird for a little while, but let it get into your system and we'll see if that works, and if not, we'll switch you to something else. So I went to the store on my way home from work that day, picked up my prescription, and then got home and started freaking out about this tiny, tiny little pill in my hand. I was worried that I would take the pill and then all of a sudden I would feel totally different, either really great or like a different person with 0 emotions anymore. But I took the pill And then I sat on my couch and watched something totally mindless on television and just waited, and nothing really happened. So for the next couple weeks, as my body adjusted to the antidepressants, did I say that they were antidepressants or did I just say meds? They were antidepressants and anti-anxiety. The nice thing about Lexapro, or escitalopram, the generic form, it is for both anxiety and depression. So if you have both, you get treated for both. For the next couple weeks, I felt really weird. I felt really tired. I felt even more irritable than I did before, but I just stuck with it, trusted the process, and after a few weeks, it was a very gradual progression. It wasn't like I woke up one morning and felt, oh my gosh, I'm myself again, this is amazing. But gradually, I just started to take note in my brain and go, hey, when's the last time I cried? What did I cry about? What have I been feeling about life? What have I been doing? Wow, oh my gosh, that thing going and hanging out and talking to my friends didn't totally overwhelm me. And eventually I just did finally feel like myself again. I started feeling more creative again, being able to sort through things, if that makes sense. Like I could see a list in my head and go, okay, I'm gonna zero in on that one and focus on that, instead of everything on that list just going jumbling all around my brain. And I wasn't crying as much or getting mad as much, and that's great. So now it has been over a year on the meds. Interesting that on the med and on the mend are only one letter difference. No? Just me? Okay. But it's been over 1 year and I feel a lot better. There are still days where things totally overwhelm me. I don't want to do anything, but I'm learning to be aware of that. Like now I can actually notice when my brain is starting to get a little anxious or super anxious, and either deal with that in the moment or kind of put it aside and focus on something else in that moment if I have to get something else done, and I can do that. I can, most of the time, figure out what is a real feeling, an actual valid feeling, versus a feeling that is totally unnecessary and just doomsday for no reason. Like, oh my god, if I don't get this video done right now, it's gonna be the end of the world! I can tell myself, nope, actually, it's not gonna be the end of the world. Let's figure out, does this video have to go up this day, or can you wait until tomorrow? This actually happened last night. I wanted to shoot this video on Monday night, and I got home from work, and something totally stressed me out, and all of a sudden I was crying and I was overwhelmed and in no mindset to make a video about mental health. Yeah, no. So instead, I decided how to make it work to fit into my schedule, to shoot it the next day, today, and be able to edit it tonight, and hopefully that happens, and it'll work. If you're seeing this on Thursday, it worked. Good job, me. So I still have those days. I've learned that there are still little things that can trigger me, even if I'm having a great, wonderful, happy, productive day, and then someone will say one thing, or one little thing will go wrong, and I just have to freak out for a little bit. But I've learned to be able to compartmentalize that, kind of, so if I still have to focus on something in that moment, I can do it, and then have that little freak out in 20 minutes when I've finished that task at hand. And the weirdest part of all of this to me is that now that I'm in such a better place, I can't even fully remember all of those moments when I was in such a horrible place. And that's kind of how my brain works in general. If something horrible happens or embarrassing happens, I kind of block out the bad things and I remember all of the good things. And I like that about my brain. I like my brain. I love my brain. Can I just say that? Everyone should feel like that. I love that my brain has its issues and it's fine and I'm dealing with them and I'll continue to deal with them throughout my entire life. Yeah. So back to today, World Mental Health Day, 2019. What do I do when I'm having a bad brain day and I just can't? I found a few things that work for me. They don't all work at the same time, they all work in different scenarios, so I try one, and if that doesn't work, try another one. Take a walk outside, breathe some fresh air. Remember that it's a huge world, and I and my issues are not the only things that exist. Breathe. Again, back to the fresh air, and sometimes this is easier said than done. You can't tell yourself to breathe. That's kind of a hard thing for me. Sometimes someone else needs to genuinely rub my back, tell me to breathe, and we get through it. Meditate. I'm still not great at meditating. I know it would be great if I didn't wait until these anxious, sad, depressed scenarios to do the meditation. If I just did it every morning, I'm trying. And sometimes it's hard to quiet my brain while I'm trying to meditate, but we're practicing. Watch something dumb on TV to distract myself. And remember that all the drama going on this TV show is way worse than whatever I'm dealing with. Stop scrolling on my phone. This thing is always near me. I am addicted to it, but it's not good for my brain. So sometimes I just have to tell myself, stop looking at the internet, stop scrolling Instagram. It's been 25 minutes. It's overwhelming you. Talk to people. This anxiety, depression thing is something that runs in my family, my extended family, a lot of my friends, the people around me in my life. So it took a while to get to the point where we could all talk about those things. And sometimes it's more difficult than other times, but being able to have people that understand it and know what you're going through and maybe have advice to share from their own experiences with it, that means so much. Basically just people who don't tell you or act like you're crazy when you are in your feelings. But then other times, talking to people does not help at all and makes it worse, and I just need to have me time by myself, doing nothing. I like to call it dehumaning, when I'm just done humaning. I'm done talking to people, I'm done dealing with people, I just want to be by myself. Also for me, when I start to get really anxious specifically, my hands just don't know what to do with themselves. I can tell that I start tensing up in my whole body, but especially in my hand. I'll be like fidgeting or doing all kinds of things. So sometimes it helps to just find something to do with my hands. Even if it's as simple as reading a book, so I have something to hold, or repotting a plant, or painting something, or just doing something that actually gives my hands something to do, besides scrolling on my phone. One thing I have not tried yet is therapy. I've always been interested in therapy and thought it would be really cool, but there's just not enough time in my days to do everything, so I've been putting it off. But I keep talking to so many people in my life lately who have had amazing experiences with therapy, whether they have big mental health issues they're dealing with, or they're just trying to be a better person and understand themselves more. So, on that note of not having enough time but wanting to go to therapy, I'm gonna start trying BetterHelp, which is an online counseling service. It basically just makes it more convenient to get the help that you need. So they have licensed, trained, accredited psychologists, therapists, counselors that you can video chat with, and you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to find parking, all the things that my anxious brain starts thinking about when I start thinking about doing a new thing in my life. They're just like non-issues. It's meant to make counseling more accessible to everyone because it also costs less than going to chat with a therapist in person. So I am going to start this very soon. Since I'm putting this on the internet right now, I am going to go sign up right after this for my first session. Wish me luck. And also join me. I mean, don't come to my actual sessions, but if you go to betterhelp.com/Cassidy Quinn, you can get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. And I will give you guys some updates, let you know how that's going in a little while after I give it some time to actually work on my brain. So, that was a lot. Let's all just take a deep breath together. That's actually really nice. I kind of needed that. But I would love to hear what you guys do when you're having a day where your mental health is a little off, whether you are anxious or depressed or anything in the whole spectrum of mental health. What do you do to try to get your mind right? And I think that's all I wanted to share with you guys today, besides the fact that, like I just was talking about, for me it totally helped. Figuring out my own issues was only possible really because of talking to other people going through similar things. So although I may not be able to hang out with you in person and chat with you on the phone, but you can always write in the comments below or tweet me or Instagram me or whatever me, and I will try to help you and talk to you, and I would love to hear what you're going through. I would love to hear what helps you or what you're still struggling with or all of the things. So happy World Mental Health Day. Good luck to you. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope your brain feels great. I hope your body feels great. If it doesn't, go do something lovely for yourself. Thank you guys for listening. I know this was a very long video, but I just had a lot of things I want to say. Give this video a thumbs up because my anxious brain has been procrastinating this for so long and I finally did it. Make sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos. And I and my brain will see you guys next week. Well, hopefully my brain doesn't see you. Hopefully you don't see my brain because that would mean something is very wrong. Bye! I feel like this video I've gotten very hand gesture-y. That's because it makes me anxious to talk about mental health even though it shouldn't at all.